Is the real estate market in Toronto finally slowing down? Are we finally seeing a shift in Toronto and GTA real estate pricing? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover off what's happening in February 2022, as well as share with you some anecdotal information that I see as a real estate agent out in the marketplace. And make sure you stay until the end, because I'm going to give you my opinion on whether or not it's still a good time to buy real estate in Toronto and the GTA. So let's get to it. Hi everybody, my name is Connie Sarvanandan and I'm a real estate agent and investor here in Toronto and the GTA. I grew up in Toronto and I know the city like the back of my hand. So if you have any questions about buying or selling real estate in Toronto, feel free to call, text, email, or WhatsApp, and we'll be sure to help you out. So first of all, let's talk about what happened in February 2022 as far as real estate goes in Toronto and the GTA. So the GTA, which stands for the Greater Toronto Area, encompasses Toronto and the surrounding communities of Toronto. And what we saw was that year over year, the market went up 27%. So that's pricing went up 27% year over year in the GTA. And what that translates to is the average price of a home in Toronto is now $1.3 million. So if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, a year ago, the average price of a home in Toronto was about a little over $1 million. And then in January, it was actually $1.2 million. So from January to February, it went from $1.2 million to $1.3 million. So that tells you how crazy February was as a market. So when you break that down further, that's the average for all types of homes. The average detached home was $1.7 million. The average semi-detached home was $1.3 million. Townhouses were $1.1 million. And then the average condo price was $800,000. So that's kind of what was happening as far as pricing goes for the month of February. Very active, and like I said, 27% year over year growth, which is just crazy. So that's the market stat. Now let's look at actual sales versus what happened last year. So when we talk about Toronto housing and the crazy pricing that's happening in Toronto and the GTA and Canada as a whole, one of the biggest things that always comes up is that there's an inventory shortage. So supply and demand, there's a lot more demand for lack of supply. And there's a couple of reasons for that, and I have lots of other videos that talk about that, but some of the reasons are, we don't have enough housing stock to address the population that needs it. We have a lot of immigration. We also have a lot of investors. There's always more demand than supply right now. Which is leading to these crazy prices and bidding wars. And so if you look at February 2021 versus February 2022, there's a couple of things to note. So in February 2021, there was 15,146 units available for sale. In February 2022, there was 14,147 units available for sale, which is a 7% drop in inventory. So that too contributed to the craziness of the February 2022 market. Now, if you look at historical numbers, what you will find out is that February 2021 was the highest activity year that Toronto and the GTA has ever seen. Second was February 2022. And that was really, I think it's second because there was less inventory. So there was a lot that happened in February 2022. And, there was also reasons why February 2022 was also crazy busy. Lack of inventory. There was the rate hike that was coming. There was a lot of activity that people felt like, there was pent-up demand and they just wanted to get out there and go for it. So it was a market that I had never seen before. So that was what was happening in the market. So now what are we seeing in the marketplace? So for the market overall, I think a couple of things. First of all, don't try to time the market. It never works out. Never works out. Everybody has tried to predict the real estate market and they've been wrong. And the reason why is there's so many things that you cannot predict. We could not predict COVID. We could not predict what's happening in Russia and the Ukraine. There's just so many things that you don't know is going to affect the real estate market that you can't predict it. So I definitely think if you're going to invest in real estate, you have to look at it as an individual or as a family and see if you can manage it no matter what happens in the marketplace. So, for example, if you're going to buy something, can you manage if it goes up and down? So, the people in the late 80s, we had crazy inflation. Interest rates were between 15 and 18% for mortgages, and the market crashed. And anybody who bought a property in the late 80s, and I know somebody who did, their property dropped in half. And then 20 years later, their properties came back. And then 10 years after that, their property doubled. So long term, real estate seems to always come back no matter what. But what we're seeing is right now that it's going up really high. Yes, it could come back down. But if you're in it for the long term, it has generally proven that it is a long-term strategy. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that if you are a flipper, then I would be very cautious about counting on flipping right now. So if you're buying a property hoping to flip it in 3 months and make a profit, then I would be very cautious about that because of the volatility of what's happening right now. What I've told my buyers is, look, I've had buyers who 2 years ago thought that the market was too high and were waiting it out, and then they saw the market go crazy. 2 years ago they could have bought a detached house, and now they're looking at a townhouse or even a condo. So I definitely think that, trying to time the market is not the right way to approach it. I think if you find a home that you love and you can afford it and you plan to stay there for a long time, then it's the right move. But what's happening right now is that things that aren't necessarily supposed to go crazy over asking and aren't necessarily supposed to have multiple bids, that's not going to happen as much anymore. Now, the spring market typically is very busy. We may have pushed that up into February, and so the spring will be more tempered. But the reality is we still have an inventory shortage. So it's still a seller's market. It just may be a little bit more tempered right now. So that's it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out, call, text, email, or WhatsApp. I'm happy to answer any real estate questions that you have. And if you find value in these videos, please let us know. Please like and subscribe or make a comment below, even if you don't like it, because that's how we get better at providing value to you. My name is Connie Sarvanandan. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.